Welcome to the latest edition of the BRSN Insider. Josh Pound, now joined by women's head basketball coach Chad Folsom. And Coach, you had a 5-0 start to the season with your non-conference schedule before you got to the conference opener on Saturday. But before we talk about William Penn, just talk about what it means to the program to be able to start out their non-conference, or get through 5 games like you did.
It was great. Our team. We've got pieces coming back every day, it seems like, with a lot of injuries and different players returning to the lineup. So through these first 5 games, we're kind of getting everybody healthy and kind of, working players back into the rotation. But we had a lot of players step up and, we had a lot of balance. People, different nights, somebody else led us in scoring, seemed like. We're getting good inside scoring as well as good outside scoring. And thought we played pretty good defense through those 5 games, being able to play man-to-man as well as press and half-court trap and kind of mix everything up there.
Was that something you had anticipated, knowing where your team was at during practices, that you could potentially have a pretty balanced scoring output to start things off?
Yeah, with returning Kayla Staley, a second-team all-conference inside player, plus Natalie Samaran, who played a lot, plus Ali Brzozowski played a lot as well. So we got a lot of inside players with a lot of depth, and then on the outside you've got Grace Brzozowski, a starter, Loranda Thomas is back, and Skylar Washington. We're all players, played quite a bit of minutes last year, and 2 of them are all conference as well. So I feel like we do have a lot of balance within the lineup this year.
So Saturday you travel up to William Penn. They're a preseason top 25 program. For the most part, played step for step with them, kind of struggled offensively in the second quarter, but really neither team shot particularly all that well. Was it just what the other team's defense was doing, or was it the earlier in the day kind of game kind of scenario?
No, I think it was a battle. It was definitely a grind. I thought they played really well on defense. Kind of threw us off there. Their zone defense gave us troubles, and we were having a hard time finding some open shots. I think we played us exceptionally strong inside, and in the first half we didn't rebound. We've been rebounding all season, and we had 2 offensive boards at halftime. And we, like you said, the second quarter we scored 5 points. So you can't win games. Only put up 5 points in a quarter. And however, the second half we came out and rebounded a lot better. We had 13 offensive boards in the second half, and got to the glass. We still weren't shooting the ball well, and but gave ourselves a few more opportunities to get it in there. But shooting was a difficult thing that game for us. We shot 25% from the floor. You definitely can't win games doing that. But we watched the film. There's a lot of things we can improve on. I mean, defensively, I thought we were okay, but we weren't great. We left them open shots, and they buried them. They've got good shooters, and it's a game we've got to learn from and definitely get better from as we move forward.
Defensively, it looked like, if I remember the box score correctly, you ended up with quite a bit of points off of their turnovers. How key is that to be? It's one thing to get the turnover; it's another thing to take advantage of it. How key was that in the way you guys were able to come back there in the second half?
I mean, that's how we were able to kind of get things going. We were struggling in the half court, but being able to turn up the intensity on defense, pressure, full court, we were able to get some steals and deflections that led to some easier opportunities to score for us. They wanted to play half court and kind of slow the game down, and I thought our press did a pretty good job at getting them out of their rhythm, and we did force 20 turnovers, and we only had 13 ourselves, so we won that battle. But we did, like I said, the shooting battle we lost quite substantially. So we got to get back on it and get ready for the next one.
Well, the next one is Baker University Wednesday night, 5:30 here in the Nolan Gymnasium. What do you know about the Wildcats?
Well, they're starting off undefeated right now. They've won every game so far. They won their first conference game up at Graceland. They've got a really solid player that plays inside and out in Abby Bird, who's been leading them in every game. And they like to shoot the three. They spread things out defensively. They get after you. They've been playing pretty good defense in the half court. So they're a good squad. It'll be a good challenge for us.
And ultimately, obviously, getting the win is how you gauge the success of the night. But still being early in the season, what are some of the things that you're looking toward and looking forward to as you progress to Christmas break, that if your team is able to accomplish X, Y, Z, you're going to be in the position you want to be?
Right. I think, coming off the last game, there's definitely some things we got to improve on the defensive end, just being up in pressure and ball and being in the right spots. We're not there yet as a team, so we've got to get everybody on the same page there. And, offensively, just finding our rhythm, kind of realizing who can do what and who's going to be our go-to. With all these players coming back from injuries, we still haven't kind of got our starting lineup set up yet. And our rotation. So I think we're getting closer to that. So, hopefully as we continue to progress, we're able to get the players playing in the right times at the right spots and get that rotation in line.
All right, well, thanks for coming in, Chad. Once again, Lady Ravens back in action here on Wednesday night, 5:30 inside the Ralph Nolan Gymnasium.
Shakespeare once said, "Some are born great, and some have greatness thrust upon them. The rest of us," he said, "have to achieve greatness." We know exactly what he means. Be not afraid of greatness. Achieve it. Benedictine College, where greatness begins.
Welcome back inside the BRSN Insider. Josh Pound, joined now by football head coach Larry Wilcox. And coach, a convincing win for you and the guys on Saturday as you traveled to Missouri Valley and picked up a big win. It was a close game at halftime that you guys kind of then broke open in the third quarter with 3 touchdowns. Just take us back through how that game went.
Well, we got off to a lead in that football game, 24-21 at halftime, and then, as you said, in the third quarter, we really made a statement there, scoring 3 touchdowns and controlling the football much of that quarter, but also the entire half. And I was happy for our players and especially for our seniors to. We were hopeful that it wasn't the last game, but as it turned out, it was the final game, and happy for that group for all their hard work and dedication that they put into Benedictine football.
Was there 1 or 2 things that you saw that was the difference between how the first half played and then what you were able to do in that third quarter, or was it just the nature of taking advantage of what was presented?
Well, Missouri Valley had a 4-year starter at quarterback who was also his last game, and he wanted to go out on a high note. He had several long passes in that first half, and they really had 3 big plays in the football game for the most part, and that was the majority of their offense. So once we got that sort of straightened out in the secondary, our defense, our run defense was strong throughout the game, as it had been the week before at Baker University, and so they were really relegated to throwing the ball, and I think we took better control in that second half.
Well, they came out on Monday, the all-conference team. Now we're learning 18 guys that earned that. And then you had Marquise Stewart, not just the offensive player of the year, but the overall conference player of the year for the Heart South. Just talk a little bit about some of those guys and what they've meant for you this year.
Well, we always like to have the all-conference team, and we were well represented. I think ourselves and Baker both had 18. And then after that, most of the schools had a lot fewer representatives than what our 2 schools did. So I think that said something about how the other schools viewed our team throughout this year. And, we had 3 guys on first team on the defensive line and 3 guys on the offensive line, 3 of our linebackers, 2 running backs, 2 of our receivers. So throughout the lineup, we were well represented. And I think most people feel that there are other guys that should be on there or they should be higher. But we have to remember that there are a lot of really good athletes in this conference, and we're not able to get everything that we want, but I think that our representation on that all-conference team was excellent.
Well, obviously something that we'd hope to be doing a couple weeks down the road, a look back at the season. You guys finished 8-3, 18, just outside of the playoffs this year. Just talk about overall. Obviously, expectations for this season were pretty high coming off of what you guys were able to do last year, but 8-3. Most years is considered a pretty decent season for people.
I think most teams across the country at all levels of football would welcome an 8-win season. It is a little bit of a, sort of good and the bad. Expectations, as you said, were so high almost immediately after our trip to Daytona last year that, everybody's talking about going back, and getting their hotel reservations and traveling to Grambling University, and kept saying there are like 5,000 things that have to go right for that to happen for any school. And we had a lot of things go really well this year. The 8 games that we won, I think we won them all in a dominating fashion. Unfortunately, the 3 games that we lost, we didn't play at the level that we needed to play. We needed to get one more win to get ourselves back into the playoffs, and that didn't happen. The other teams, conversely, played very well against us in those games. There was not a single turnover by the other team in any of those 3 football games. And then as we got to the middle of the year on, injuries really plagued us throughout, and to have some of our best players on the sideline, Marquise Stewart missing several games, Charlie Neihart missing games, those 2 guys at the running back position, Logan Harris, one of our very best athletes at wide receiver. So I think we had 23 players that missed multiple games throughout the season, and that's going to take its toll. But those things happen, and this was just a bad year for us in that regard. And fortunately, we had the depth that there were other guys that could step up and still keep us competitive.
Well, that's what I was going to say. You look and say 23 guys missed some time. There's a lot of schools out there, a lot of programs out there. There's no way they can sustain a success level with that many injuries. But yeah, you guys, there was obviously some hits here and there, but you're able to sustain a lot because of your depth. Just talk about how key that was for you guys this year.
Well, that's key for us every year, and that's something that the continuity that we have in our program with our players, the number of seniors that we have every year, having over 40 seniors again this year. We know that we needed to develop depth beginning in the freshman year and moving that through to the senior season. So there are always guys that are anxious to get in there, and we practice depth during the week. We want to have multiple guys ready in the eventuality that we do need somebody to step in, and that did happen for us, quite a few times this year. And for example, Marquise to be out this last game, and then Charlie Neihart to rush for 174 yards and 3 touchdowns, that's a pretty good 1-2 punch. You wonder what would happen if you had the 1 punch in there to go along with the number 2. So, and that was the same at a number of positions for us throughout the year.
Well, finally, you got a longtime member of your staff, Denny Murphy, has elected that this was his final season. What has he meant for you and the program over the years?
Well, he's been a great friend, first of all, and a guy who was very trustworthy and loyal to Benedictine College and Raven football. And, he coached our wide receivers all those years. He was our head junior varsity coach. And, I doubt that there's ever been a junior varsity coach that won as many games as he has won, because we didn't play any games this year against other schools, but we played as many as 9 or 10 in some years. So he really has been a real role model for those younger players. He's been great in the classroom. He's one of the favorite teachers on our campus here. And he does a lot of little things behind the scenes that have to get done to make a program of our size operate properly.
Well, it's always a great day in the Mocan area when Murph's around. So good luck to Denny as he moves on to retirement. Thanks a lot for taking the time, Coach.
Thank you, Josh.